Welcome to the video tutorial for Summertime, Square 22 in the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along series. I'm Polly and I'll be your host. If you'd like more information about the Crochet Along, please visit everytrickonthehook.com or everytrickonthehook on Facebook. For this video, I'll be using Aran weight yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Let's get started. We'll begin by making a magic circle, or as I like to make, a double magic circle. To do so, take the yarn, wrap it around your fingers twice, take your hook and insert it into the loops, and then pull up a loop. Then you can take the circles off of your fingers, but hold them securely, and tighten the loop around your hook. Once you've done that, you can chain one and make your stitches into your circles. The stitches for round 1 are first a single crochet and then chain 2, and do that 4 times. So into the magic circle, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2. So 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we can close our magic circle. And to do that, to close a double magic circle, the first thing we do is make sure that our yarn end isn't tangled into the circles. Sometimes it gets twisted. Mine looks pretty good, so I'm going to pull on it just a little bit until I see one of the loops start to close. So see, one is a little bit smaller now. I'm going to grasp the smaller loop and pull the top of it. I think I'm getting a little twisted. Pull the top of it until the other loop closes all the way. Then I go back to my yarn end and pull on it until that loop closes. And that's how you close a double magic circle. Now, to finish round 1, slip stitch to both loops of the very first stitch that you made. Pull that slip stitch tight, and that is round 1. To make round 2, we'll start by chaining 1, and the very first stitch we're going to make is a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch. The first stitch is the same one that we slip stitched to in round 1. This stitch right here. I'm going to insert my hook just under the back loop, pull up a loop to make my single crochet. Now in the chain 2 space that comes next, I'm going to make what will be our corner. We're going to make the corners the same way all the way through. So into the chain 2 space, a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Now we're going to repeat that all the way around. So in the next stitch, a single crochet in the back loop only. In the next chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. In the next stitch, single crochet in the back loop only. In the next chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. And one more time, in the next stitch, back loop only, single crochet, and then in the last chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Once you've gone all the way around, you can slip stitch to both loops of that very first single crochet. If you have a hard time finding the first single crochet, I recommend putting a stitch marker into both loops of that stitch immediately after you make it. So at the beginning of each round, put a stitch marker in the top 2 loops of the very first stitch. That way when you come back around and you need to join your round, it's much easier to find the correct loops. So that is round 2. Now for round 3, this is a very important round because we're going to repeat this round later in the square. So I'm going to show you once, and you can use the link that's in the comments to come back to round 3 to review how to do it for those later rounds. So for round 3, what we're going to do first is chain 1 and then single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch. Back loop only, single crochet. Now what we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. In the case of round 3, there's only one stitch before we get to the next chain 2 space, but in later rounds there will be additional stitches here that you'll have to single crochet into. So single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the corner, just the one for this particular section. Then in the corner we make our normal single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Now we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch to the next corner. In the case of round 3, there's only 3 stitches, but in other rounds there will be more, so as many as you have, single crochet in the back loop only of each of them. 2 and 3, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So now we'll do our corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner, single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across this side. 1, 2, and 3, and then another corner in the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, another full side in each stitch across to the corner, single crochet in the back loop only. And you get to the last corner, as always, in the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, now to finish up a round of round 3, you're going to single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the first stitch. So again, in round 3 there's only one stitch left. In the back loop only we'll single crochet, but in future rounds there will be more stitches in that section. Now that we're done, we can slip stitch to the both top loops of the very first stitch, pull that slip stitch nice and tight, and that is round 3. So what I want you to do is go ahead and repeat that for round 4, and I won't show you how to do round 4, just do it just like we did round 3. There'll just be a few more stitches on each side, and then I will show you how to do round 5. Before you begin round 5, you should have already made round 4 as a repeat of round 3. Now for round 5, we'll start by chaining 1. And we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of that very first stitch and into the back loop only of the next 2 stitches. So the first 3 stitches, single crochet in the back loop only. There should be 1 stitch left before your corner chain 2 space. Now you're in the right place. We are going to make our first special stitch. And what we're going to make is a double crochet, and we're going to make it into the front loop only of the very first stitch of round 3 on the next side of our square. So rather than working on this side of our square, like we have been, like we are placed to do so right now, we're actually going to work into the next side, so the side going that way. The side we would be working on after our corner, that's where we're looking. So what we want to do is look at the next side and look at the stitches of the next side. We want to identify round 1 is this one right here, this very bottom one. There's only 1 stitch in round 1. Round 2 is this one right here, and round 3 is this one right here. Round 4 is the one we just did, so the one right below it is round 3. Now for this round and for the next round, we're going to be working into the very first stitches of round 1. Well, there's only 1 stitch in round 1, but still. Very first stitches of round 1, 2, and 3. And we're always going to be working one side ahead. So first identify 1, 2, and 3, the very first stitches of those sides. And now let's start working into them. So we're going to make a double crochet into the first stitch of round 3 on the next side, so this one right here. So I'll yarn over for my double crochet, and I'm going to approach it from the bottom and go underneath, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to pull that loop up to the height of my work. It doesn't have to come up really high, but it does need to come up a bit. And then I'll complete my double crochet. After that, single crochet into the chain 2 space of your corner, chain 2, single crochet again. Just make your usual corner right in the chain 2 space. The stitch behind the double crochet that we just made counts as worked because the double crochet is in front of it. So you can work right into your corner after you make that double crochet. Now let's look at a full side. So from here, what we're going to do now is we're going to make a treble, and we're going to make it into the round 1 stitch on the next side. So we've turned our corner, and technically we are on this side here. So when we make our new treble, we're going to make it into the next side. So identify your stitches. Here's round 1, here's round 2, here's round 3. We'll be using the first stitch in each of those rounds, or just the 1 stitch of round 1. So into that round 1 stitch of the next side, that one right there, that's where I'm going to make my treble. So here's what I do. Yarn over twice. I'm going to insert my hook under the front loop only of that round 1 stitch, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to pull it up pretty high, just about like that, a good amount, and then I'm going to complete my treble. Trebles are pretty long as it is, so they stretch pretty well off to that next side. Okay, so there's my treble. Now after that, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. Remember that the stitch behind the treble counts as worked. So the first stitch of the side is the treble, and the one behind it counts as worked. The second stitch of the side is where you're going to start your single crochets in the back loop only. So you'll make 5 across. That was 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now what we're going to do is make another double crochet. So there's 1 stitch left before the corner. That's my signal that it's time to make my double crochet into the front loop only of the very first round 3 stitch of the next side. So here's the round 1 stitch I made the treble into, here's round 2, here's round 3. So the very first little horizontal bar of round 3 on the next side, that's where I'll make my double. So yarn over once, insert your hook under that front loop, pull up a loop, pull it a little bit, pull the yarn up a little bit so it has some height, and then complete your double crochet. Then jump right into your corner with a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And I'll go ahead and show you the rest of the sides just so you can see me do it a few times. So the first stitch after the corner is a treble, so I yarn over twice, and the treble is going to be made into the front loop only of the round 1 stitch of the next side. So this side already has the treble that we made on the previous side. So on the next side, into the round 1 stitch, the front loop only, insert my hook, pull up a loop. I'm going to pull that up pretty tall, and then complete my treble. Don't worry if your trebles pull a little bit, they'll straighten out as you make the rest of the rounds of your square. After the treble, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. That should leave you with just 1 stitch before the corner. Here's where we make our double crochet in the front loop only of the round 3 stitch, the very first round 3 stitch of the next side. So under that loop, I'll insert my hook, pull up a loop, pull the yarn up to the height of my work, and complete a double crochet. Then jump right into the corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Okay, next side we're going to treble into the front loop only of the round 1 stitch of the next side. Watch out, that first side has the slip stitches, so make sure you're not working into them, you're working into the front loop only of that round 1 stitch. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, then pull it nice and tall, and complete your treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. There's one stitch left before my corner, so I'll double crochet in the front loop only of the very first stitch of round 3 on the next side. Insert my hook, pull that up to the height of my work, and complete a double. Then jump right into the corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Alright, just one more. I'm going to make a treble in the front loop only of the round 1 stitch of the next side. I'm going to need to move that first treble I made out of the way so that I can see. That was made into round 3, that's the round 2 stitch, and there's round 1 right there. So into that stitch, pull up a loop, pull that nice and tall, and complete a treble. Now all I need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the last 2 stitches and slip stitch to that very first stitch to join. Pull it nice and tight, and there we go, there's round 5. In round 6, we're going to do something similar to round 5, but we're going to work into the round 2 stitches, the very first round 2 stitch of each side. So in round 5, we worked into round 1 and round 3. Now we're going to put a stitch right in between them into the first stitch of round 2. So start with a chain 1, and we're going to make a treble right off the bat. So yarn over twice for your treble, and we're going to make this treble into the front loop only of the very first round 2 stitch of the next side. So you might need to move this treble out of the way so that you can see. I find it's easiest to identify where my double crochet went. That I know that's round 3, and then the treble right here went into round 1. So the little horizontal bar right between them is round 2. So under that horizontal bar, I'll insert my hook, pull up a loop, pull it up a bit, and complete a treble. It's important to pull your yarn up because the treble will not reach that stitch, and then your square will pull and it will be all wonky. Okay, after you made your treble, that first stitch counts as worked, so into the next stitch, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. That will take you to your corner, so single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in your corner just like normal. Now we'll single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. And now let's make another treble, so yarn over twice, again into the very first round 2 stitch of the next side. So move this treble out of the way. Here's my round 3 where my double crochet was made. Here's my round 1 where my treble was made from last round. So right in between them is the round 2 stitch, the first round 2 stitch. Under that loop, pull up a loop and pull it up, and then complete a treble. You want to make sure you pull your yarn up enough that your treble isn't pulling on your square, but you also don't want to pull it up so much that your trebles are floppy or loose. Okay, after your treble, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. And that will take you to your corner. And then we just do this all the way around. I'll go ahead and show you just so you can have a demonstration of this a couple more times. So single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. And now we're going to yarn over twice for a treble into the front loop only of the round 2 stitch, right between that double and the treble. Pull it up to the height of my work, or not quite the height of my work. A treble's nice and long, so I don't need to pull it up quite that high. And then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. And then make your corner. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. One more treble, so yarn over twice, find that very first stitch of round 2 of the next side. Insert your hook under the front loop only and pull up a loop. Pull it up, then complete your treble. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. Then make your last corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in that chain 2 space. And now all we need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of those last 4 stitches. And slip stitch to the first treble to join. Pull that nice and tight, and there we go. There is round 6. Doesn't that look cool? Easier than it looks, right? So go ahead, and once you have round 6 done, I want you to make round 7 and 8 both as repeats of round 3. So just 2 rounds of basic single crochet in the back loop only, and then I will meet you back here and we will do round 9 together. Before you begin round 9, you should have already completed rounds 7 and 8, both as repeats of round 3. Now for round 9, start by chaining 1, and our very first stitch is going to be a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the first stitch. So counting from the first stitch, we'll go 1 round below, under the front loop only of that stitch, pull up a loop, and complete a double crochet. After that, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. Then double crochet again in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of that last stitch before the corner, and then make your normal single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again in the corner. Okay, now let's look at a full side of round 9. We'll start with a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch, followed by a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. And that's 5. That 5th single crochet will be your last stitch. When you come back around and you do this last half side of round 9, that 5th single crochet will be your last stitch before you slip stitch to join. But for the full side, we'll go on with a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. And then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. And then your last stitch before the corner is a single crochet in the back loop only, and then go ahead and work your corner. Single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet all in the chain 2 space. Okay, so here's a full side of round 9. We did a corner, and then we did a single crochet, just 1 in the back loop only, and then we did a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then we did 5 single crochets in the back loop only. Now when you come back around and you do this last side of round 9, before you join, that is where you stop after that 5th single crochet. You stop there, and then you'll slip stitch to join. But for the full side, you'll go on with a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, then 5 single crochets in the back loop only, then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, then 1 more single crochet in the back loop only, and your next corner. So go ahead and make that all the way around, and that's round 9. I will see you for round 10. Now for round 10, start by chaining 1 and do a single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch. After that, we're going to make a half treble, and I'll show you how to do that. You yarn over twice, and we're going to make this half treble into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below our next stitch. So from our next stitch, we'll count 1, 2 rounds below. Into that front loop only, insert your hook and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That just gives you a stitch that is somewhere between the height of a double crochet and a treble crochet. Next, I want you to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Now make another half treble, so yarn over twice, and make that into the front loop only of the stitch 1, 2 rounds below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, just 1, then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and that should take you to your corner where you can single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again to turn your corner. Okay, now let's look at a full side of round 10. We'll start with a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. And then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then half treble, yarn over twice for half treble, in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Then half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. And when you come back around and you're doing this last side of round 10, this half treble will be your very last stitch before you slip stitch to join. But for the full side, go ahead and single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then do another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Don't worry if they pull a little, see how they, as soon as you make more stitches, they even out. Okay, after the half treble, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, then half treble, the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch, single in the back loop only of the next stitch, double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, and then the last stitch of the side should be a single crochet in the back loop only. That should take you to your corner. You can make your usual corner, and then we'll take a look at what we did for a full side of round 10. So you can see here, so we sort of flanked our double crochets from round 9 with stitches. So here's how it went. We made our corner like normal, then we did a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, then a double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, then a single in the back loop only, then a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. Notice it's right on the same level with the round 9 double crochet. After the half, we did 3 singles in the back loop only, then another half in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. That will be your very last stitch when you come back around on this last side of round 10. But for the full side, the next stitch is a single in the back loop only, and then another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, then 3 single crochets in the back loop only, then a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, a single in the back loop only, a double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, and then another single in the back loop only followed by our next corner. So that's a full side of round 10. Go ahead and repeat that on the next 2 sides and the half side, this last half side as I instructed you. Then slip stitch to the very first single crochet to join, and then I will see you here for round 11. Now for round 11, start with a chain 1 and single crochet in the back loop only of the first 2 stitches. After that, we're going to make a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Half treble, 2 rounds below. Then make a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. And then make another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So see how we kind of filled in the blanks between the half trebles that we made in round 10. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. And then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. That should be the last stitch before the corner. Then go ahead and make your corner chain, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Okay, now let's do a full side of round 11. We'll start with a single crochet in the back loop only of the very next stitch. Then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then 3 single crochets in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Now let's do a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Then a double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. And now another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. When you come back around to do the very last half side before you slip stitch to join, you'll do 1 single crochet here. Just 1 single crochet, then slip stitch to join. But for the full side, we're doing 3 right here. Okay, after 3 single crochets in the back loop only, we'll do another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. A double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. And then another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. That should be the last stitch before the corner. Then just go ahead and make your usual corner. Okay, so here, let's take a look at a full side of round 11. See how we kind of filled in the blanks here and we gave it this nice wavy shape? Okay, so here's what we did. We did our corner, then we did 1 single crochet in the back loop only. We did 1 double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then we did 3 single crochets in the back loop only. Then we did a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. A double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Now if you're working on this very last half side of round 11, you'll do 1 single crochet in the back loop only, and then you'll slip stitch to join. But if you're working on the full side, after you do this second half treble, you'll do 3 single crochets in the back loop only, then a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, a double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, 3 single crochets in the back loop only, then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, then 1 single crochet in the back loop only, and that will take you to your next corner. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around, and after you finish round 11, I want you to go ahead and make round 12. Make round 12 as a repeat of round 3. So nothing special for round 12, just go ahead and make a round of single crochet in the back loop only, just like I showed you for round 3, and then I will meet you back here for round 13. Before we begin round 13, you should have already completed round 12 as a repeat of round 3. So round 12 was just a basic round of single crochet in the back loop only. Now for round 13, before we get started, I want you to take a look at what we have here. We have what we've made in the past 4 rounds are these wavy sort of shapes, and I want you to take note of them because we're going to use the shapes that are created by these stitches to help us place our new stitches in round 13. So let's get started with round 13. The first thing we're going to do is chain 1, like always. And now we're going to jump right into our very first special stitch. We're going to make a double crochet 5 together. And we're going to place each of those 5 legs into a different stitch. And I'll show you how to do it, and then I'll show you a trick for making it easier. So first we're going to yarn over, and the very first leg of our double crochet 5 together, we'll count from the first stitch. We're going to count one round below, and then we're going to count 2 stitches behind. And I want you to be careful not to count your slip stitch. You want to make sure you skip the slip stitch to join and count 2 stitches behind to this half treble from round 11. Into the front loop only of that half treble, insert your hook and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. There's your first leg. Now the second leg, yarn over once and count from the first stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, and 1 stitch behind. Again, make sure you don't count your slip stitch. 1 stitch behind is this half treble from round 10. Under the front loop only of that half treble, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now our next leg, yarn over once, counting from that very first stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below, is this double crochet from round 9. Under that front loop only, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, that's 3 legs down. Yarn over once, and you might need to bend this down a little bit. Counting from the first stitch, you might want to count 1 stitch ahead first this time because it's kind of hard to see. And then we'll count 2 rounds below is this half treble from round 10. Insert your hook under the front loop only of that half treble, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, one more. So yarn over once, and counting from our first stitch, let's count 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead, and 1 round below is this half treble from round 11. Insert your hook under the front loop only of that half treble, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You should have 6 loops on your hook at this point. You can yarn over, pull through all 5 of them. Yarn over and pull through the first 5 of them, then yarn over and pull through the last 2. That helps give you a different sort of diamondy shape here. After you do that, so you yarned over, you pulled through 5 of those loops, and then yarn over and pulled through the last 2. After you do that, we'll do some single crochets. But before we get to them, I want you to just take a quick look at how we made that. We placed the legs into the special stitches we made in the previous rounds. So this half treble here from round 11, this half treble from round 10, the double from round 9, the half from round 10, and the half from round 11. And this scooping sort of shape is how we placed our double crochet 5 together. So that makes it a lot easier. You don't really need to count each time if you can identify those stitches. So I'll show you when we get to the next one. So after this, go ahead and not into the first stitch, but into the next stitch, single crochet in the back loop only, 5 times. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so if you prefer counting, I would go to the written instructions and I would print out at least the part about the special stitch so you can refer back to it for counting each time. I'm going to show you how to do it without counting. So yarn over once, and you just sort of identify this dip in this shape. So here's this nice last double crochet, sticks out really well. This double crochet sticks out really well. Here's the bottom one. Then one up from that is this half treble, and then one up from that is this half treble. And then there's going to be a double crochet in between that you do not use. So here's the half treble we used in the previous double crochet 5 together. Here's a double crochet we're just going to ignore, and then here's a half treble. That is where our first leg is going to go. And then we're just going to keep moving down to the bottom and then back up in that sort of a scoop. So the first leg goes into the front loop only of this half treble. I'll pull up a loop and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. The second leg goes into this half treble. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. The third one goes straight down into the double crochet. Insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then the next stitch is this double crochet here. Pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops. And then this last double crochet here. So you really don't need to count. If you can identify those stitches, you just sort of move down and then back up. It's really quite simple. Okay, 6 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 5 of them. Then yarn over and pull through 2 of them. And that's your double crochet 5 together. After that, simply single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. They should be the last 5 stitches of the side. And then that should take you to your corner. You can make your usual single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. Okay, now I'm going to show you this across a full side. Let's start with single crochets in the back loop only of the first 5 stitches. Okay, now we're going to place this again without counting. We're just going to look at our stitches. So I like to identify this double crochet that's in between the 2 half trebles, the one from round 11. I know that one I don't work into. I work into the half trebles on each side of it, but not into that double. So I know that's where I start, or in this case, that's where I finish. So here's where my last stitch will go, the one before that. Here's where the third one will go, right in the middle at the bottom. Here's where the second one will go, and here's where the first one will go, right there in that nice scoopy motion. Okay, so yarn over once, and let's hit up that first double crochet under the front loop, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over into the second double crochet under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now into that third one that's at the very bottom, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over into this half treble, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and then into this last half treble, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. 6 loops on my hook, perfect. Yarn over, pull through 5 of them, then yarn over and pull through the last 2. After that, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. This is the point where you would be finishing if you're on this very last half side of round 13. After that 5th single crochet, you would slip stitch to the top 2 loops of your first double crochet 5 together to join, and that would be the end of your round. But for the full side, let's go ahead and make another double crochet 5 together, and we're going to read our stitches again. We're going to skip the counting and just read our stitches. So here's the double crochet that's between the 2 half trebles on this side. So I know I don't work into that double crochet. I start with this half treble right here. Then I go down to this half treble and then down to this double, and then I work back up to this half treble and up to this half treble. And then there's that double crochet between half trebles that I'm not going to work into at all. So I know that I work between these 2 double crochets into those 5 stitches in that scooping motion. Okay, so into the first half treble, I yarned over once, into the first half treble, the front loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then the next one down, into the front loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, then into that double crochet at the bottom, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, then up to the next half treble, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and then into that next half treble, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 5 loops, all but the last one, then yarn over and pull through those last 2. Okay, next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches, and I'll show you one more. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Here's that double crochet that we already decided we're not working into at all. Here's the half treble on this side and the half treble on this side. So this half treble will be our first stitch that we work into. Then this half treble just down from it, then this double at the bottom, then this double up from that, and then this double up from that. So those 5 stitches. So yarn over once, insert into that first half treble, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over once, insert into the next half treble, just down from the last one, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, into that double crochet at the bottom, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, in the next double crochet that's up from that, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, into the double crochet up from that, under the front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, 6 loops on my hook, perfect, yarn over, pull through 5 of them, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches, which will be the last 5 stitches of the side. That was 5, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. And that takes you to your corner. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. And then let's take a look at this. This is a full side of round 13. So we did our corner, then 5 single crochets in the back loop only. Then we did our double crochet 5 together, just like I showed you. I'm not going to explain it again. Then we did 5 single crochets in the back loop only. That would be the point where we would finish. So when you're doing this last half side of round 13, after you do these 5 single crochets, you slip stitch to the first stitch to join. But for the full side, we go on to do another double crochet 5 together, then 5 single crochets in the back loop only, then another double crochet 5 together, then 5 single crochets in the back loop only. After that, just do your next corner, and that's it. Go ahead and repeat that all the way around. Do the next 2 full sides and that last half side, and that's round 13. Now what I want you to do after round 13, I want you to make round 14 and 15 both as repeats of round 3. Very simple. We're just going to finish this up with a couple rounds of single crochet in the back loop only, and then I'll meet you back here and show you what I want you to do for round 16. Before we begin round 16, you should have already done rounds 14 and round 15 both as repeats of round 3. So just 2 rounds of basic single crochet in the back loop only. Now for round 16, we're just going to wrap this up. So single chain 1 to begin, and then single crochet in both loops of the very first stitch. And now I want you to single crochet in both loops of each stitch across to the corner. And that's it really. We're just going to do, we're just going to do a basic round of single crochet in both loops to give us a nice sturdy border for our square to wrap things up, make them look nice and neat, and that's it. So single crochet in both loops across to the corner, and I'm almost there. When you get to the corner, the chain 2 space, nothing special, just do your regular single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then continue down the next side, single crochet in both loops of each stitch across the side, and work that all the way around. So you'll just go ahead and work that all the way around your square. When you come back around to the very last side, single crochet in both loops all the way up to that very first stitch, slip stitch to join, then you can fasten off and weave in your ends. You're all done. That is it for our square summertime. I hope you had fun making it. It was a little bit different. I hope it was exciting and that you enjoyed it. And that's it for our square. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're enjoying the crochet along. I will see you for square 23.